Hey, what's going on everybody? Shimoke here, and today I wanted to give a quick overview of what I think of the PS5's controller for fighting games specifically. And just, right off the bat, I wanted to have a long, in-depth video where I compare it to the Battle Beaver D-pad and then the standard DualShock, but it's really no contest. This controller is not very good for fighting games, and Mortal Kombat, of course, is the one I have the most experience with. I tried it in Injustice, Street Fighter 5, what's it called? Blaze Blue Cross Team Battle, and then Dragon Ball Fighters. None of them felt very good. The D-pad's just very mushy, very not tactile at all. When I first pressed it, I was like, "Hey, this isn't too bad." But then I pressed the standard DualShock controller. This one's kind of musty. I'm sorry. But then immediately, if you just press your DualShock 4 controller, this is much more tactile. Gives a much better button press every time you press the button. It's just way better. And then with the Battle Beaver, of course, it's just no contest. This is just infinitely better. So in using, this wouldn't be as big a problem, of course, if the PS5 games could be played with the DualShock 4, but they just can't for some reason. I don't know why that is. I don't know if hopefully sometime in the future there can be just a button that says "Do not use," because as far as I can tell, all it is the adaptive triggers. I think it's called. All it is the adaptive triggers that are keeping DualShock other DualShock controllers from being able to be used on PS5 games. So why isn't there just a always disable button? As long as you do that, you can use whatever device you want. How about that? I mean, that sounds like a fair
What's it called?
compromise. There you go. So basically, with the rest of the controller, I mean, the buttons aren't as good either. So I mean, for fighters, this isn't about much. And like, I was trying to, I have Mortal Kombat 11 running here, and I was trying to I was trying to use, you can cancel a bunch of Aaron Black strings into his cattle toss, which is a nice little command grab. I had to basically reteach myself how to do it on this controller because it's a little clunky. I mean, the move already isn't like the easiest thing in the world to use because you got to do the input really fast, but you also, as you saw, you can cancel the move early because let's say I want to do like this, for example. You see I pressed the triangle 3 times, but it only came out twice because you can special cancel it early. So it's already a little tricky, but I learned how to do it on the DualShock 4 no problem, and I basically have to relearn it on a worse controller because you have to use the DualSense controller. See, I did it early again there. Oh my god, dude, I suck. I mean, it is also on me, right? Like, I'm not executing it properly, but... Nope. And, of course, I would love to just swap in the DualShock 4 real quick and just show you guys me doing it probably the first time. Maybe it would take me a second because I haven't done it in, like, a week or so. But, alright, one more time for the boys. Nope. And, yeah, it's the same problem that... a DualShock 4 had, but even worse. Like, it's on a rocker, so if you're doing button inputs very quickly on the D-pad, the buttons aren't where you left them. So you have a very, say you want to do a directional move like, I don't think Aaron Black has any moves like that, but diagonal moves like this, apocalyptically bad to try and use. Like, oh, it feels wrong. It just feels wrong using this controller. So, I mean, you probably want to use the PS4 version of the game for the most part anyways, just to save some space on your hard drive, because... your solid-state drive on your PS5, because this is actually one of the biggest games on the PS5 right now. Size-wise, it's like 85 gigs, so you may as well just use the PS4 version so you could use the superior controller and save yourself some space. I mean, it's not all bad, right? Like, I mean, back forwards are fine, I guess. But, I mean, it was easier on the regular DualShock 4, and the Battle Beaver just absolutely puts it to shame. I mean, again, it's not all bad, but I do think the controller is definitely a letdown. Sorry about that focus there. So, let's see if we can get the focus there. Yeah, I'd say this controller is a letdown. The adaptive triggers, they feel great. In Dirt 5 and Cold War is where you can feel them the most. They feel really solid. But if that's what's keeping them with this controller, $10 or $10 or $20, I forget how much more it is than a DualShock 4. If it's making you raise the price of the DualSense controller over the DualShock 4, is just these triggers, and then most of the other things, I say only the bumpers, only the bumpers and the sticks are the real improvement, and then the triggers are just like a little party trick that isn't really necessary, you know what I mean? So I don't even really count that. So minor improvements to the bumpers and the analog sticks, and then just the buttons just feel terrible. It's just not good for fighting games. I was really let down by that, honestly. And just super let down that I can't use this controller on the PS5 version of Mortal Kombat, which is actually a really decent upgrade. So I think you guys get the gist by now. It sucks. It's really unfortunate. But is the PS5 version of Mortal Kombat worth playing? I wanted to touch on this real quick. The load times are crazy. The load times are absolutely insane. They're like 3 seconds, maybe, to get in like a local match or something. And let's see. What's a basic combo I could do? Oh, I don't really have too many combos in this variation because I wanted to show. But yeah, basically you can tell pretty, well, maybe not on my crappy little capture card because I have a really low budget capture card, as you can probably tell. But it looks a little bit better and it runs smoother because the frame skip doesn't have to work as hard. Basically, the frame skip would skip frames and animations to save your frame rate to keep it running at 60 FPS. It pretty much doesn't need to do that anymore, and every animation feels better as a result. Just all around the board, basically. So that's awesome. The game looks smoother. I'd say it's on par visually with the what's it called? The PC version, but I think they left the bloom on, and I think that's a big mistake. I think once you get at the pretty much when dynamic resolution is out of the picture, bloom looks awful in this game, and it really hurts the overall image quality. I always turned it off on my PC, but basically, yeah, it looks like the PC version, and it runs super smooth, and it loads super fast. But of course, you're stuck with this thing, the DualSense controller, which is just awful for fighting games. I have to be frank. And so I'm probably just going to uninstall this now. I've had my fun with the PS5 version of the game, but this controller is just ruining it for me. So I'm going to go back to the PS4 version, and well, let me know what you guys think. Have you gotten your hands on the DualSense controller? Have you gotten your hands on the PS5 Mortal Kombat? And, you know, I'm sure there are some sort of backdoor ways to get the DualShock 4 working with the PS5. But, I mean, that shouldn't be expected of the customer, right? There should just be an option that says, fuck all the extra DualSense options. I just want to be able to use my old controllers on the game. So just disable all those options in the games. Maybe it's not as simple as that, as like, you know, 1 or 2 lines of code ready to turn it off, but you know, do you guys think that solution's good, or if there should be a different solution, if they should have a downgraded version of this controller to get it a little more budget friendly, because this thing is super expensive. Yeah, so with all that said, thank you guys for watching.